Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come to where I'm from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated. So you're the fun one?
Yeah, I am. Believe it or not.
What?
He's a liar.
Is
Yeah.
he? Are you the fun? Are you
was-
the fun one?
We're both pretty goddamn fun.
Yeah,
when we
but
want to
I
be
mean,
actually.
we were fun like 20 years back. Now it's like,
Yeah.
just getting through it somehow.
Yeah.
And everything is allowed as long as you get through.
I can relate. It's one day at a time, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an everyday thing.
Yeah.
But we surprise ourselves sometimes.
How?
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 With still being able to do a lot.
Right?
Yeah. And right. Yeah, the right things.
Yeah, I meant right as with R-I-G-H-T, but and right. Yeah, right and right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that helps.
Sometimes we do things wrong,
Yeah.
and
But I
that
would
can
say-
be fun also.
That's
Yeah.
the best stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd you guys meet? Well, introduce yourselves.
I'm Hansi, the
Hansi,
vocalist,
and-
of Demons and Wizards.
And what's your how do you say your last name?
Kürsch.
Kürsch.
Yeah.
Hansi Kürsch.
Yes.
And Jon Schaffer.
Yep.
Respectively from
Basically, Blind Guardian is
Blind
my...
Guardian, Iced Earth.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
And now Demons and Wizards.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and then Demons and
Yeah.
Wizards.
Then and now.
now
And
again.
Or
Now
on
and
top,
again.
you know. However you look at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one breed.
We met each other, 30 years ago, touring together.
Touring?
Yeah. We were. Iced Earth was supporting Blind Guardian on our first European tour for our debut album, and
Wow.
that's how we met, and we lived in a bus together and had just an unbelievable journey through Europe and parties and insanity,
It was,
crazy stuff, and we had a blast, bonded, great, became brothers instantly, and we, here we are.
Yeah.
We were physically strong.
Physically stronger then now and mentally, or
Now we're mentally stronger.
Are you
so
sure?
Sometimes, we sometimes resist.
What's the math on 30 years ago? In 90s or 80s?
90s,
Nine-
early 90s.
Early 90s.
Yeah.
Very early 90s.
early
yeah.
90s? Is that when your first album came out, or
Yep.
did you guys come out first?
Yeah, we did our first album in 88.
88.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the attraction to each other?
Well, we were on a label called Century Media. That was
Uh-huh.
a brand new label,
Yeah.
and I think you guys were looking for a support band, right?
Yeah, we
did.
did,
Rock Hard
yeah.
Magazine have something to do with it too? With
No, it was
putting
Robert,
us together.
the owner of Century Media.
Okay.
I got in contact with him by whatsoever reason. We were kind of friends.
Yeah.
And somehow we had to cancel our headlining tour like 12 months before. So
Why?
we were running a little late because our drummer was quite sick. He got a surgery. There was something wrong with his lungs, but we kept waiting until he was recovered. And by that time, we didn't have a support act. And so I reached out for the Century Media guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned Iced Earth, and I read about them, but this is pretty much it. And then we ran into each other 2 months prior to the shows, and we just spoke and we liked each other, but we split ways directly after. We drank a beer together and then hi and bye-bye, that stuff.
Yeah, I was over there on a promo tour.
And-
So I
right.
was in Germany, and then they with the guys at Century and Rock Hard, and Hansi and I met for the first time and said, hey, they said this is the band, the singer of the band you're going to be touring with, and drank a beer and talked a little bit, and then we met a few months later when the tour started.
And the tour was a blast, to say so.
Yeah.
From the very first moment we spoke, all the guys in the band, they
Really?
spoke with each other. And yeah, there was a quite very close and warm chemistry. So we ended up in the bus first night. It was a small bus for 18 people, which we were back then. And we always ended up at the very end, of every party. And there were a lot of parties, of course.
Right.
And we just went to bed on
Last
that
two men
We were the last
standing.
two standing.
on the
yeah.
very
Yeah.
first night.
Drinking everything left
And
on the bus,
we
whatever
fell-
was left.
Yeah, but we fell asleep directly, whenever we crushed our beds, we were done.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes later, there was a bus breakdown at the very first night, and it was snowing. It was bitterly cold in Germany. So everyone, still hung over, got out of the bus And we survived that day, and maybe that, helped to establish that friendship as close as it is nowadays, because it went on like this for the whole time. We didn't get another bus, but we didn't stop the tour, but we're doing, we got from day to day and, learned to survive. And we faced a lot of bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, it was
It galvanized the friendship.
totally, because nobody was being pussies. We were all
Right.
like warriors, hungry, and we're going to make this tour happen. We're going to make
Right.
it a success, and we're going to have fun in the process. So, and we didn't have, on the bus that broke down, we had bunks that we could go and crash in, so you can roll through the night and get to the next gig and get some rest. But we ended up getting into like a Greyhound or City style bus with just seats. So that made it very difficult. And if we were able to get into a hotel room, it was usually for just a couple hours to crash because the drives were too long or whatever. So there was a lot of that, where people weren't, it's the kind of thing where if you're not really in to win, it could turn ugly with bad attitudes. But everybody just soldiered through and had a part. We made the best of it. We had a great time. Everything was sold out. Everybody was on fire. Both bands were killing it. It was great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How long was that tour for?
Maybe a month.
Yeah.
But a lot
Okay.
of back-to-back shows in addition.
Yeah.
And I felt so bummed out at the end of that tour, and I was sick for ages afterwards. So
We were
Because you
fucking
missed him?
Yeah.
he was
Another thing. Heartbreak? Heavy metal heartbreak.
There was a little bit of crying, We just pointed that out.
That's the
some
next
days ago.
Wizards album.
Heavy metal heartbreak.
Yes, that's right.
It's a power ballad.
We work on that.
Yeah, next album.
We have a plan.
But it's like we were behaving insanely. I think Toman
Even
was the
for
only
20
guy.
years old guys,
Yeah.
21, whatever age.
Toman was, I think, the only smoker in your band, and most of my guys were smokers, and they were living in a fucking tube rolling down the road,
And everybody's
drinking all night,
smoking.
smoking in the bus.
No one had the
Screaming.
balls to say, "Hey, can we not smoke on the fucking bus?"
Honestly, it was impossible.
Right.
No one thought about it.
Yeah, no one even thought
Well,
about
it was a
it.
different world
If
back
you
then.
go
I
into a
know.
recording studio nowadays and no one
Right.
is smoking, that feels so odd still for me. And
Yeah.
I was always a non-smoker.
Yeah.
But I was so used to it, I didn't even smell the nicotine
Right.
anymore. It didn't have. It seems to have no effect on whatever we were doing.
But it was a
But,
different time, and we were screaming all night, and
Yeah.
laughing and fucking.
which is
just-
great for vocalists.
Right. I
Yeah,
mean,
right.
everybody was ended up being sick at the end of that thing for sure. But
That's
most
funny.
of it was because of our behavior.
Right.
What size venues were you guys playing in the early 90s?
It was maybe 1,000 to 1,500.
Theaters?
That was that was the average, I would say.
And now, what's it like? I mean, how many? You guys play huge rooms, don't you?
Yeah, that's the festivals mainly, and then it depends on where we are playing. If it's
Yeah.
like South America, you go up in between 3,000 and 6,000. If it's Europe, it's in between 1,500 and up to 6,000 again.
Yeah.
Japan is smaller, but very impressive still, because that's all seated venues usually, and you have like maybe 2,000 at the maximum there, and then it's the US with. What do we have? Like 1,000 to 2,000 as well, right?
Yeah, we did. It was. I think the biggest rooms on this tour was like 2,500 or
Yeah.
so, maybe 3. But I mean, we did. It depends on the market you're in.
Right.
In Europe, even you can't just say it's. Some countries are just the bands are far more successful than they are in others. You know,
Yeah.
it just depends. It's weird how that works, but it's a
but
thing.
it's a worldwide phenomena.
Yeah.
And we do that, with each and every album. We do a whole cycle, and that keeps us busy for sometimes nowadays 18 months.
Right on. How long has the tour you're on right now been going on for?
But we're not on tour right now.
You're a promo tour or something?
We're
like
doing
that?
promo right now.
Some
Yeah, that's
summer
why we're
shows
here.
or
Yeah,
something,
we
right?
did,
You played
yeah.
here in the city at the PlayStation Theater. I
We
That is
did.
true, yeah.
Yeah, we did a bunch of stuff in Europe as we were at the same time finishing. Hansi was finishing vocals for the record, and then we came to the States and we did our Demons and Wizards first tour of North America. It's very successful, kicked serious ass in the States and Canada, and then we wrapped up the mixing, and he had some vocals left to do down in Tampa, so we mixed it at Morrisound, and basically, here we are getting ready to release the record, but our touring for Demons and Wizards is actually done for a while because we both have to get back to work with Iced Earth and Blind Guardian. So, yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
how
is.
long does it take you to do vocals? Like, your vocal arrangements are crazy. Like, does it?
It depends on it is a full arrangement I'm working on. It takes like 5 to 10 days to compose it.
Yeah.
And then to accomplish it in the studio in between 2 and 3 full days, and I split them, so it's 6 days, 6.5 days I'm usually working on it. Then we have at least one big choir session, which, for the whole album demands another week, sometimes even more.
Where did you come up with that style, or what influenced you to be like that kind of sort of, it's almost like opera.
Yeah. I mean,
Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, it is.
Freddie. I was thinking Freddie Mercury too. I didn't know if you'd take that as in a complimentary
no,
way.
it is perfectly fine. We
You're like, I was thinking heavy metal Freddie Mercury.
That's what I've always said.
Is that what you said?
I said that for years about him because he does create vocal parts like that puts that much thought and depth into it.
Easily. Yeah, it's a really an impressive situation you got going on in that noggin of yours.
Well, but it really pops out spontaneously whenever I listen to music and there is a part and I have that idea and I have the opportunity to do all these stacking on the recording facilities we have. So, I'm trying and come up with. I do not follow a melody line straight, and this is the difference. So, I go for, unisono voicing in between. They just differ in like 2 different tunings, and basically this is the difference that makes it so big.
Wait, say that again. 2 different tunings.
Well, not 2 different tunings.
Harmonies, you mean? Or
if I have a harmony that runs along for a long time, it's like, the same notes, and then they just split at spots, and I do not necessarily put them at the end, but somewhere in between, and that gives that different feeling you have when listening to it.
Do you ever try to challenge yourself to be like, let me just do one vocal on this?
No. I try sometimes.
Right.
But when listening to it, because the music is also so rich, in Blind Guardian, Demons and Wizards, I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense at all. We have like a song on the Touched by the Crimson King album, which is called Wicked Witch, and it started as just an acoustic
one, right?
Yeah, it is, and it was just acoustic guitar, and I worked on it at home, and I had a straight line, and that was single voiced, and then I felt it sounded good, but there was so much to add, and we added that to it, and it sounded better, and then we came up with more arrangement underneath it. So at the very end, it was a regular ballad, but the very first intention was just to have one guitar and one voice, but. Yeah. It still feels more natural to me to do it this way.
I think the maybe the most stripped down thing that we've really ever done together might be the verses in Dark Side of Her Majesty, because I think we just stacked you twice just to thicken up
and
the raging voice.
Exactly.
I'm not now the choruses and stuff. That's big.
No, you're right.
Choruses, but in the verses, I think it's more. So there's a few spots where that happens, but not that many.
Jon, do you ever have any input on the vocals for him, where you're like, or it's his own universe?
It is his own universe. That's the thing that makes the Demons and Wizards thing special, because that's Hansi's mastercraft. And if I'm writing songs for Iced Earth, I'm very involved in the vocals because I'm typically writing the lyrics and the vocal melodies. I will give him some input depending on where we are, and if it's a song that if I'm writing lyrics for that song, I'll probably have a little more input, or if it's a conceptual idea that I have, I might have more input. But I trust Hansi and completely, and I know his talent and his abilities, and I feel like if I just give him a good soundtrack to work with, that's a good vibe, from, I always look at it as like it's the soundtrack of a movie. I mean, we're trying to create an atmosphere and experience and to take people off on a journey. So if the music can be there as a bed to inspire him, if in this case he's working on the vocal parts, then it's just fun to sit back and watch what happens. It just depends on for me, what project I'm working on and what the particular mission is. How will determine how far I go into that. But with Demons and Wizards, this is us working together, and we're giving each other our own space to do what we do, knowing that we've been blessed enough to come up with something very special and magical and something that moves people tremendously. I mean, so.
Does Jon bring more of an edge to than what you're used to, or what does Jon bring to you that you weren't getting in Blind Guardian?
a different dynamic for sure.
Yeah.
There's more space. He
More
really
space.
leaves it to the vocalist to shine, and in Blind Guardian it's more like all about orchestration, and I
Right.
have to be on top of it, and I have to control it. So there's even more vocals. And here I feel like I'm minimizing myself sometimes, but it pops out more strong because there's space for it.
More simple bed.
It's not necessarily simple. It's defined in a different way. It's more straightforward. While
Right.
Blind Guardian sometimes goes into details everywhere,
Yeah.
and the details here are always telling a story. So that's quite different. And in Blind Guardian, it's all about exploring.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I to me, every song I write is to tell a story, and the vocalist is telling the story.
Mm-hmm.
So regardless of whatever the project is that I'm doing, that's the goal. I want the vocals to shine. If it's an instrumental, okay, that's something else. And there's shitloads of detail in my music, but I leave
Right.
space for the vocals. That's a normal thing. If there's a weaving melody with a bunch of harmonies or what, it depends, man. I mean, if you go into like stuff as big epic stuff from like back in Dante's Inferno or the Gettysburg era of the Glorious Burden, where we have the big orchestra and all that stuff, there's a lot more going on, a lot of lead guitar melodies happening and big vocal parts and orchestration and all that stuff. I mean, I've done that too, but even then, you never wonder where is the lead vocal. It's still telling the story. The singer is still narrating what's happening in that particular song. It's about the Battle of Gettysburg. So whatever it is, whatever the particular journey is that we're going down, and what the goals are, or the story of the song, or the concept of the album, whatever it is, I want the singer to shine. That's
Right.
what we're doing here, man. We're making music and we're telling stories. The singer's got to shine. It's got to be able to be heard and be, to make sense to me. That's just the way my mind works.
Yeah. Where do you come up with the concepts for what you want the stories to be about?
Well, I mean, in Demons and Wizards, that's mostly on Hansi. I mean, I have my ideas, and usually a song or two on a record, I'll contribute some stuff, but
You
I
write
don't
the
really.
titles sometimes. I heard you talk about or like when you're making the tracks, you were
On this-
using titles.
On this album, yeah. On this
Last
album, because in the last 10 or 15 years, it's been easier for me to manage my sessions when I'm in songwriting mode. If I start actually giving the songs, the music, some title that feels like where it could go.
Right.
In Iced Earth stuff, I almost always start with a working title, a concept, a theme of a song, and then craft the music to sound that way so that it all makes sense. In this case, I did that also. I gave us a bunch of working titles, and we kept most of them, but I'm always open when I'm working with Hansi to all that changing. But for me, just being able to go into the sessions and work, I got to have some frame of reference. Because in the old days, I would call songs like Fred, just
Right.
really stupid shit. And then
Tom
you can't.
and Jerry.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go,
That would be a good one.
but
That's funny.
it's just hard to control, to know what you're going to work on if
Right.
you do stuff like that. So I changed my strategy with that kind of thing a little bit. But
That's cool.
yeah.
Where do you come up with the storylines then? Like, do you just get inspired by books or movies or what? Like,
Yeah, that is one of my main sources, especially books.
Yeah.
But it can be also freestyle. And this is even more common in Demons and Wizards than in Blind Guardian, because Blind Guardian is sort of so huge and over the top that, that fantasy universe really fits very well to the music. And therefore I stick to that pretty much when it comes to Blind Guardian. And Demons and Wizards, it's a little different. There is there's an insane approach in a song, let's say, for instance, in Split. And then I go into a direction of multiple personalities, and trying to come up with my own story. That's a fictive story, of course, about a guy comparable to what happened in the movie Split. There's one specific person who tries to get in control and, tries, to get the other ones captured or out of the way. And but that is related to the music. Or Midas Disease, for example, which is about a corrupt TV preacher, which they are all. And it's more about the sensation, how they manipulate people, and with how much bullshit they get through. So it's quite easy to interpret that into different directions. Then we have like Children of Cain, which is about a dystopian society called the Children of Cain. And in this society, the murdering of your brother is an established tool to become a grown-up. It's pretty much the only tool to become a grown-up. And stuff like this. And as said, there's also like the inspiration by books like the Stormlight Archives, for example, written by Brandon Sanderson, which is more in my ballpark. That's my comfort zone because this is what I'm doing with Blind Guardian.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about writing a song like I Want to Hold Your Hand?
That's funny, man. I have never. Yeah, as big of a Kiss fan as I am,
Right.
I don't think I've ever written one song about getting laid.
Yeah, Christine 16,
Yeah,
something like that. You ever Strutter, for instance.
Strutter.
Is it, you know?
I was born for loving you, baby.
I got very strange love songs if we do so. Like on the Touched by the Crimson King, we have Love's Tragedy Asunder, which is inspired by a news report about an old couple where they lived together in a house, and the wife got weaker and weaker. So, and the old man as well, and so he couldn't take care on her anymore. And instead of giving her to, a home where she didn't want to go, he just commits suicide for the two of them.
Right.
So that's my sort of love story if I go into that direction.
Man, you are wild.
Holding our hand. There you go.
Where were you born?
In Germany,
In
that's
Germany?
very close to the Dutch border.
Oh, okay. And how'd you get into music? Were you
Basically,
parents?
just by the sensation of listening to it.
Uh-huh.
I bought Deep Purple record when I was like 11 or
Deep
12,
Purple.
and that got me into music as much as I am now.
Yeah.
And over the years, that got more and more. You cannot decide it, but it's a passion.
Yeah. What about you, John?
Well, my older sister got me into music. She was 5 years older, and my mother worked for RCA actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, back in the day for the television division.
Oh, okay.
But we would get free vinyl as much as we wanted out of the warehouse because they had one of those record clubs that they were connected with,
That's
like the
intense.
old Columbia House shit, and so every month we could just pull whatever records. But my earliest exposure to bands like Black Sabbath and Alice Cooper, I'm 3, 4, 5 years old, hearing that Zeppelin, Deep Purple, all that. And it just felt right to me, no matter what. I heard stuff like my mom tried to get me to listen to Herman's Hermits and shit like that. And I was like, yeah, no. I like the big, heavy, gnarly guitar sounds of Black Sabbath and that kind of stuff. And the eeriness, the creepy. I always loved the dark stuff. Always. So maybe that's why I'm the demon. I don't know. But it's always been a very...
You're the demon?
I'm the demon.
Really?
That's what he believes.
The demon and the wizard.
Are you the?
And
Oh,
demon.
you're
Yeah.
and you're the wizard.
Yeah.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, look at my... I mean, if you look at...
I agree,
Well,
actually.
that's the whole...
I'm just happy to hear that you haven't thought about it so far.
That's-
because many people do, and I'm like, okay.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't relate it that way.
But,
I wasn't taking it that literally.
No, but that's really where it comes from.
They'll
Because
put a
if you
wizard
look at...
hat on John. It's pretty spot on, too.
That's true.
He outperforms me. That's so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely like where the initial idea of the name came from because
Well, somebody
all-
was
all
calling
of
you
our-
demon, and somebody what was the story of how the name came?
it came from me trying to figure out a name, what we could call our new project, and I was
Right.
thinking about what is it that describes us and what have our band's images and what we're, I was always writing really dark stuff. I mean,
Right.
from and some could say, very demonic or very anti-establishment, very established religion, government, everything. And rebellious in nature, and they were always more on the fantasy stuff, doing the Lord of the Rings and all that.
Right.
So I was talking to my ex-wife, and I said it needs to be something like dark and light, but demon she said, well, she loves Hansi, and she said, what about angels? I said,
Right, demons
Hansi's-
and angels.
I said, Hansi's no angel, but he is a wizard.
Right.
That's the name, Demons and Wizards. And of course, Uriah Heep came to my mind, and I'm like, but
Yeah,
who cares? It fits us perfect. So I called Hansi, and I said, dude, I think this is the name for us. And he loved it. And then we had Travis Smith
course
worked
he
up
did.
the
It has wizard in it,
But the good thing is,
and he's the wizard. How's
I
he?
always wanted to be the wizard.
Yeah, no one's rejecting being the wizard, dude.
Hey, it works, and it just fits. It works perfect for us. I mean, really,
Yeah.
it does. And we both really are a
Yeah, it
little
does,
of both,
actually.
It's
Yeah.
but it's thing that just fits. It just fits beautifully for the history of Iced Earth and Blind Guardian, our friendship, and really what we are, and the fact that we both are very capable of both.
Right.
You know, things. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool, perfect name for our band.
Yeah. Well, what made you guys take so long to follow up the last record? Because it's been like 15 years or something.
Iced Earth and Blind Guardian touring and
Non-stop.
album cycle. Yeah, you know, I mean, it's just a matter that to do this right, we have to, our holes and our schedules have to line up. It's, you know, it's like from the time that I started writing songs or the time that I flew over to Germany to have initial meetings with Hansi until now, it's a year and 3 months or whatever. Okay, that's a dedicated period of time to make this happen, to tour, make the record, and now it's getting ready to come out. If he's out in the middle of a world tour and I have a little bit of time in my schedule to do it, or vice versa, our schedules aren't lining up and we're not able to do it, you know.
Right.
And that's really been our biggest challenge. Early in our careers, this holes in our schedules were lining up. I mean, we did 2 European tours together on the first 2 Iced Earth records. We were releasing and touring at the same time. We were out doing it together. But then as things grew for us both and started to go global, the bands got bigger, the tours got longer. It turned into there was album cycles where Iced Earth would literally be out on the road for 8 months and only go home for a couple weeks here and there. And we're going all over the globe. And they were doing the same thing. So it got bigger, it got global. Getting the schedules to line up to where we could devote this kind of time to Demons and Wizards is difficult, you know.
Right.
It really is.
Where'd you guys record it?
Well, we're different places.
Yeah.
We started at John's place. There we did a
Where's that?
pre-production.
Indiana.
Oh,
we did all of the instruments there.
Wow.
All of the drum, my studio, and all of drums, all of the instruments. The vocals were handled at
Then we did,
Hansi's place.
have no choice but doing some of the recordings in Europe, basically to my comfort, because we were preparing the tour at the same time.
Right.
We got an offer to headline Wacken prior to our starting of recording and even songwriting of this album. We just announced we would be willing to do this album, and then all the promoters came and they needed headliners or co-headliners for some of the European festivals, and that was an opportunity we had to take. And therefore, it was clear we would have to split the recordings. We went to my place and did the rehearsals for the tour there, as well as I did a lot of vocals there. And we ended up after the tour in Tampa, Florida to mix the album, and I also did some more vocals there. So it was a little bit of a travel.
Is there an outside producer on this stuff, or do you guys?
There's several. Well, we did it. You know,
Yeah.
ultimately we worked with Jim Morris in the early stage, and at the end stage we worked with Charlie Bauerfeind, who's done a lot of Blind Guardian stuff. Tommy Geiger.
Mm-hmm.
We've worked with some Joost van den Broek from the Netherlands. Recorded the classical choir in his studio in the Netherlands. So I mean, there was like five engineers. Then Tom Morrison mastered the thing with my direction. I mean, I was giving him. I told him this is what we want to have, because there's a lot of things you can do in mastering, and you can really fuck things up. Not
Yeah.
that Tom would, but I mean, we wanted. The challenge is always we need to have the music be in the playlist world. It needs to be loud enough to be competitive in a playlist world, but then we're
But
old
not
school guys that
squashed.
want a dynamic record.
Right.
So that, normally means we got to do 2 different masters. We got to at least do a digital master and a vinyl master. But, I've gone as far in Iced Earth to do, here's a streaming master, here's a CD master, and then there's a vinyl master. So everything's it's handled and treated a little bit differently. But if you do your job right during the entire production, there really is little to do in the EQing part of a mastering job. It's just
Right.
about adding some sparkle on the top end and controlling the low end so that
Compressing
you
it.
can crank it
Right.
and still have the drums and the rhythm guitars and everything feel ballsy as fuck
And
without
it
the
sounds
speakers
loud
farting
at a low
out.
volume as well.
Exactly. Like all of these different things. And they know. And I explained that to Tom when I was looking for, and he got it right away. So because we were thinking about going back to Zeus, who's also he's a great mastering engineer. But Tom nailed it. He got it right away. So.
Right. Explain to people like who don't really know metal world that well, the metal world, like what are the different styles of metal and how do they get classified as such? Like European speed metal versus like what are the different styles of metal for people?
We hate pointing out these categories because
sorry.
they don't no problem at all.
They don't exist.
They do not exist. Yeah.
Right, because
for us they don't.
It's confusing. It's like, what is it? Speed metal, power, like like.
With Blind Guardian, we headlined a big festival in Germany, and there was a guy announcing us.
Yeah,
and they were, just really looking for the word or for the description of Blind Guardian, and to make that the biggest in the world, and they ended up with the biggest fantasy metal band in the world. We're more or less the only fantasy metal band. Yes, by that
wizard.
Term,
Wizard.
By that term, we are the biggest fantasy metal in the world.
Fantasy metal.
There's horror metal and there's gore metal.
Right.
And, there's crime metal, whatever.
Who's making all that shit up?
We don't know.
And there's people online that think that they're experts on those specific things, and they've like really get upset if you call one thing and the other thing.
And the two of us, we get upset if people call us power metal.
Why?
It's because it's like look. The problem is there's a lot of cheesy shit in all of these genres, but in power metal specifically, there's some very, very cheesy bands.
Oh.
And I just don't think it's fair to either one of us because we cover so many dynamics in our own bands and in Demons and Wizards. It's everything from it's metal. It's a metal. Imagine calling Iron Maiden or Judas Priest a power metal band.
Right.
I mean, that's what we are doing. The same kind of music. It's maybe even more theatrical and more dynamic in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's definitely on the level of theater for sure than Iron Maiden. I would say for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
maybe more so.
There's more things. There's more things happening, but it's just one of those things where the whole like it's pigeonholing bands into these categories. I realize because there's so many bands and it's a crowded genre or style of music that they have to some way figure out a way to explain to people. But that when you lump us in with bands that are seriously cheesy, I just get annoyed by it because we're really not that.
Right.
It's.
But within metal, would you say there's like European metal that has its characteristics and the U.S. metal? If we're dropping all the subcategories, within the metal, it's all still, there's no real difference.
There is a difference.
There is.
I mean, however there comes culture, Iced Earth probably is the most European-inspired metal band in the U.S., I would say. But
What's that mean? When it's European,
there are some maybe because he's inspired by Iron Maiden and Judas Priest, and they are defined as European bands. That's more your pair of shoes than, for instance, Queensryche or Metallica. I cannot hear that. A little bit of Metallica, maybe, but
Yeah, but I grew up on the same stuff Hetfield did. It's the same shit. It's all those dudes were new wave of British heavy metal fans and old wave of British. That's me. I grew up on exactly the same stuff.
Yeah.
So that you're right. That's where it comes from. It comes from those bands.
We have that discussion in the studio a lot of times, and however you look at it, especially if it comes to Germany and some of these Central European bands, there's a little more of a marching feeling to the music.
Okay.
It's very controlled, it's very precise, but also on the grid, but not over the top on the grid.
Yeah.
This is how I look at it. And there's a tiny little bit more of swing in American metal bands.
Yeah.
And that is most probably related to history and culture. We grew up with classical music and, folk music, for example. The Germans did grow up with Schlager music. And
what's that mean?
This is where
like
the
German
cheesiness.
folk music.
This is where it's popular German folk music somehow. There is some very modern elements in there, and this has an effect on some of the band, and that is very prominent in a lot of power metal bands. And this is when it becomes cheesy, because the melodies, they are so obvious. Halloween, as a band from the very early era, and they developed into different directions, but they started with somehow children nursery songs rhymes, that stuff, and that was very popular for a while. And for some people, it still is like the big thing. And so they built up their melodies on what I consider to be quite simple patterns. And this makes...
They're a power metal band you think is kind of cheesy, Halloween?
No, Halloween is not, because they developed...
they're original.
Yeah, they are original, and they developed into a different direction, and they are very diverse as well. But their beginning has that elements in there, and that was very inspiring to many power metal bands.
Yeah, many. Yeah. There's so many copies of
Halloween.
Which was in itself with a very Iron Maiden-like thing, except the sort of childish little melodies that they came up with from a vocal standpoint over the top. That's the way I never got into them, not early.
Yeah.
I've learned to appreciate their stuff more, and they're very talented musicians and everything, but it's just not my cup of tea, man. Not into it.
Right. Do you guys explore other genres like hip hop, folk, like all that kind of stuff? I mean, not to make or necessarily, but listening to.
I can't do hip hop at all, but folk music and country and I love old Johnny Cash. There's an artist called the White Buffalo who's he's the dude. Jake Smith is fucking
great.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He's an incredible.
You played with him once somewhere. I forget.
I remember.
Where.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I did a show
On
with
the
him.
Really?
Bill,
Yeah.
He's a dude.
He's great.
I saw
he has
him
a
in
new album coming out.
Yeah, killer. I got them all, man. And I saw him in Louisville, Kentucky, and it was one of the best shows I've ever seen in front of like 300 people. The dude, his 3-piece band just fucking owned the situation. No house light. I mean, they used house lights, house PA, set up their own shit, and it was the most honest performance I've seen in years, and really powerful. But anyway, I mean, I love that kind of stuff. I love all different. I love all different kinds of music, but I can't really handle rap or hip hop or like techno. That electronic dance music shit. I can't do it. It makes me want to like go hang myself.
So you didn't listen to Jesus is King?
Who?
The new Kanye album, Jesus is King.
No, I missed that one, man.
You missed
Sorry.
it.
Yeah, I'll go check it out and get back to you. My review. No, I won't. I'm lying. That's never going to happen.
You will.
What about
Double
you,
lie.
Hansi?
It's all about country and western. I listen to everything. Rap and hip hop excluded. That's
Really? No
the
rap
same
and-
here. And there is a
Even when you work out, come on, guys. It's the best. Some hip hop.
there's a lot of hip hop. Yeah, of course. This is why I don't have any muscles in my body. I really appreciate almost every music.
Right.
Even German Schlager has some good songs, especially if you go back to the 70s.
Yeah.
But hip hop and rap I can't stand. And there is a German division. There are German artists singing in German, almost always closely related to an immigrant background, and they have their own slang language, and I can't stand that, not at all. It's cheesy music, and the lyrics are also kind of out of this world.
Yeah. What are your favorite bands?
My all-time favorite band would be Deep Purple,
Deep
followed
Purple.
by Queen, and then it's all the prog rock from the 70s.
Rush.
Genesis, a lot of the
love
European. So Gentle Giant would be another one I really love. Yeah.
Yeah. And Genesis, you like that?
Genesis,
I was
I like
signed
a
to
lot.
Peter Gabriel's label. That's how I
No way.
Yeah, that's how I got into the music business.
Cool,
I got
man.
signed by
Wow.
him in
You've been in the
95.
studio? The Real World studio?
Oh yeah, I made my first 3 records out there.
No way. I need
Yeah.
to listen to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it's an amazing studio. We were trying to get in there in
You
the
guys should go record there. You'd have fun.
Is that in the UK?
Yeah, well, it's in Box, which is 15 minutes outside of Bath,
Okay.
in the UK. Yeah,
Bath.
Box, England.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's too expensive. I mean, however
not
you
for
look
y'all.
at it.
You guys are huge. Come on.
Well, yeah,
And
but we have
plus-
our own studios.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
got your own studio.
We invested all the bread there. We got to use them.
Right. That's true. What about you, John? What are your favorite bands?
Well, the reason I do this is Kiss, so you don't really hear it in my music, but they're definitely. I mean, I've been a fan for 45 years.
Yeah,
so,
me too.
But Black Sabbath is certainly an influence musically. Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. The new wave of old wave of, dude. It's all there.
Metallica at all?
Yeah, Metallica was later, and I was already developing like my way of playing and everything. I mean, I was already riffing like I do.
Yeah.
And then I heard a friend turn me on to Ride the Lightning, and I was like, "Fuck, this guy's sounds like I sound, and they're awesome." And they got, I mean, I could tell that band was going to get Huge. I didn't expect that to happen because they were so heavy. I never thought
They were
there would
so
be.
heavy when they first came out. I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
It's killer, and I was just like, still can't believe that now in America you can be driving down the street and hear "Ride the Lightning" on the fucking radio.
Yeah.
Like back then, I thought that's never going to happen.
Right. It seems so dangerous and aggressive.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. It was amazing for the time. It was like
Yeah.
they took those elements of the new wave of British heavy metal and said, okay, you're going to hear that stuff, but now we've got this whole new fucking thing going on, and it was, which they did. They started a whole nother genre. So, but yeah, I definitely love Metallica. I still do. And but like I said, my styles were being crafted from the stuff that I was exposed to as a really young kid. And that's, Kiss, Black Sabbath, Alice Cooper. A little bit later was
Ozzy.
Maiden and Priest. Ozzy for sure.
Solo.
Yeah, Dio.
Ozzy is
I
great.
love the
Me
first
too,
two
I love
Ozzy albums.
Ozzy.
First two Ozzy albums are
Insane.
Diary of a Madman is one of my all-time favorite albums.
That's the vibe in his voice. It's undescribable, but it touches you.
Yeah.
Whatever he's doing,
Who's better, Dio or Ozzy?
you cannot compare. I mean,
I knew that would freak you out. That question.
I mean, it's Black Sabbath,
Right.
and they only had great vocalists.
Yeah, that's
However
true.
you look at it, Tony Martin is on the same level as well. I mean, the albums were almost as good also. But
When I was a kid, that debate annoyed me because I love them
know.
both.
I love them both too.
And it's like night and day.
yeah,
I mean,
For the first time.
yeah.
this
Evil or divine, to the last
Dude,
in line.
Ronnie was the
Remember
fucking
that
man.
shit?
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Last in line.
Dude.
but it is exactly what it is, night and day. you
Yeah.
know? I mean,
Yeah.
a guy who can transfer so many emotions like Ozzy does with
Yeah.
the range he is having. I mean, he must be very special.
Yeah.
And Dio, of course, is in control of everything, so you cannot compare them.
I asked my high school music teacher once, like, who's better, Ozzy or Dio? Because she was like into like that kind of stuff, and she goes, "Well, Dio's a better singer, but Ozzy is better." Like, that blew my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, "Wait, oh wow, okay." Like,
I mean,
and I
Ozzy's-
got it. Like, I
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, you're right." But neither one-
Ozzy's a character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ronnie, and he's an amazing character. But
Yeah.
Ronnie was a true singer.
Yeah.
I mean, he was
Gifted.
creative melody
Yeah.
lines, unbelievable sounding tone of his voice, power for a little dude, fucking the spirit the
Huge.
size of the Empire State Building.
What a great guy.
Yeah, he was amazing.
But even on
Very
stage, if
special
you look
guy.
at it, Ozzy
Yeah.
isn't doing anything.
He's just
Dio
standing
has the
there.
presence, and he did whatever he did, which was also magic.
Wait, he's not doing nothing. He's going.
That's right. And leapfrogging. You gotta, I don't know if he's doing that too much
buckets
anymore.
of water.
That's right. He's throwing the buckets of water.
He, by the way, makes me number 2 in clapping hands with the wrong beat. He's the only one who's better at that.
That's funny. Did you hear Ozzy's new song?
I did.
Amazing.
What do you think? You
I think
like
it's
it?
killer.
Fucking amazing.
I like
yes.
the heavy one. There's a
It's
few
like
new ones.
Beatle-y. It's very Beatle-y.
Are you talking about the one with Elton John?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool, but I like the heavy one.
Oh,
the
I haven't
one,
heard that.
It's
I can't
really
forget
dark.
the name. It's fucking
Grave
killer.
from the grave something.
Yeah, Under the Grave.
Under the
Is that what
grave,
it is?
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got like there's like a riot. Got to check out the video. There's
Yeah.
like a riot scene going
Oh,
on in the
okay.
city, and it's really he's like, I make you defecate. He's like, Ozzy just said, I'm gonna make you shit your pants. He just
Right.
said that in a line, and it's cool.
Now I know what
Only
it means.
Ozzy can get away with that.
That's funny.
It's amazing. Yeah.
See, that's the privilege of being a German. I didn't know what he was singing
Yeah,
about.
defecate means to shit.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he's
You
gonna
guys
make you shit your
cross
pants with that
paths
line.
with Ozzy or any of your heroes on the road?
Yeah,
Oh yeah. That's cool.
yeah, it is cool.
Did you
Where?
guys get to kick it with him?
Ozzy was when I met Ozzy. That was on early '90s, so like '92, and I think Zach was in maybe the No Rest for the Wicked era. Is that right, or maybe somewhere around there? And that was he kind of looked through me, so I wasn't sure if anybody was really home or not. I mean, he was nice, but it was just
Right.
like there was no real. But with Ronnie, I got to know Ronnie, several times, and we toured together.
Right.
So that was a whole nother. Like I considered Ronnie a friend in a way. I mean, we had a really nice connection, and it was a very sad when we lost Ronnie.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. But I mean, that's like a different. That's a different level. Like I never got to know Ozzy on that level. I just met him once, and I just always had this feeling he was kind of looking through me.
Right.
It was a little different, but
He's seen a lot of life.
Sure. Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, we've seen a lot of life, but he's seen a lot of
life. That's right. But I met, Halford and Bruce Dickinson and Steve Harris and all these guys that are my definite heroes, and that's been pretty cool.
Apparently, those guys are salt of the earth, like the Iron Maiden guys.
Totally.
Yeah. Bruce Dickinson flying a plane and shit like that.
He's amazing, dude.
He's crazy.
That dude's got energy for like 100 humans.
That's wild.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
He's celebrating life.
He is.
So let me ask you guys this, because I noticed on your new video too, there's like the upside down crosses happen and stuff like that. And just thinking of like Dio, and he's such a nice guy and a lovely guy, but he also had a lot of that sort of satanic imagery. Like where is that coming from, and how do you like? And there, even in the new song, there's some lyrics about Beelzebub and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Does that kind of stuff freak you out? Like, do you think like how are you? Yeah, just. What do you think?
Well, it's a bit of storytelling. It goes back to the very first album we did, which was a song related to a song called Heavenly Nice.
Right.
And that is telling the story of the fall of Lucifer.
Right, okay.
And when we were talking about the perfect opening song for this album, we both were sure that a statement, a very harsh statement, would be the perfect entrance into this season.
Yeah.
And therefore, we composed a song like this at the very last moment.
Right.
And John named it Diabolic.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, if it's called Diabolic and it's so intense, and I go back to Heavenly Nice and to Lucifer's Fall. And I picked up some of the ideas I have had there, and we follow the story told there. And in that story, heaven is a dystopian place. So, we just question what is good and what is bad and what is wrong and what is right, And therefore, we put in as much dramatic aspects as we could also in the video. And we had a song on the first album. It was a trilogy, and that was about a supernatural, ingenious creature about to destroy the whole universe. Because he was so disappointed with all the lies about religion, and he was also following the way of Jesus, getting to the hills of Golgotha and just figuring out there is no one at the center of the cross. There is no Jesus.
Right.
And we took that as an inspiration for the video as well, and we just turned it the other way around. We were like, crucified upside down by heaven.
But then you grew wings and flew away.
Exactly. But if you look to the center, there's also... We did that, right? We put in the empty cross in the center.
In the center, yeah.
So there is no
Symbolism
Satan. That's basically the message there. There is no evil.
There is no evil.
We're the rebel angels getting cast out,
right,
and going to join the rebellion against the dystopian heaven. That's kind of the
right.
But it's all about the view. What's wrong? What's
and
right?
It's all man-made, to say so.
What do you mean by that? It's all
well,
man-made.
The whole album is pretty much about the supernatural aspect of human beings. We are supernatural. We are a supernatural race by all meanings. Whatever we are doing is not natural. And we have...
You mean just in general humanity?
In general, everything. Building a house is not natural.
Right.
It is not. If you really look at it, it's not. The internet is not natural. It's supernatural. It's almost a divine quality we're having. But we're not capable
but
in
what's
using it.
natural then? Because humans are natural, and then...
Well, they aren't anymore. The brain, whatever we're doing with our fingers, may be it the thumb or the brain, I don't know. But that has delivered us into a different position,
I guess.
We do not depend on almost anything.
I think
this whole thing could be a simulation. Have you heard the simulation theory? What's natural? Like,
that's
everything that's here, in a way, springs from here, because where else could it spring from?
Well, we just can't get our heads around it.
Right.
It could be that this is a particular wavelength. It could be that there's a veil, and literally right here is another existence with completely different consequences, and there and there and there, and it's a ripple effect through time that we can't possibly get our heads around. But all we know that we do have a divine spark. You know, that we do have this ability to create things, whatever they are, to build things, to basically, if you can imagine something in your mind, you can make it real and you can make it happen. And a lot of the to me, the system that we grow up in, fear-based systems, control-based systems, whether it's religion, government, university institutions that rule us.
Right.
that form us are the things that keep us from reaching our true potential, because if we were able to tap into our true potential, we're basically unstoppable. And those who control everything and keep order on the earth don't want us to tap into the true potential. That's what I believe.
Yeah, you're exactly fucking right.
Thank you.
No, I'm
Ding, ding, ding,
ding, ding,
ding.
ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
So how did you discover your ability to manifest your reality? Because a lot of humans don't have that ability, and obviously the pair of you guys do.
I knew
to a
it
certain degree.
when I was a kid.
To a certain degree. This is what it is. Yeah.
To a certain degree, of course. We're all on a continuum of that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I knew it when I was a kid, when I could manifest things from that because I started off as an artist before.
right, a painter.
I became
right?
drawing, painting,
Yeah.
doing.
You still
charcoal.
do that?
No,
Do it again, man.
I will.
Because it
It's
ages
coming.
well. It's like a good thing to do when you get older. 'Cause I paint too. And
Oh,
it's
cool.
Like, yeah, and it's
I want to do it again.
Kick it back
Actually,
up.
I'm thinking about
It's
it, but
fun.
the thing is once I got a guitar, all of my creative energy went into
that.
to writing songs. You know,
Yeah.
it was like that's where it went because But the reason I know is that I started to figure out that I was able to manifest my destiny was because I could visually see something and put it on paper. And then it started to happen where if I set my will for something to happen, it started to happen. And I knew I was talking to my girlfriend recently about this. Like when things get weird, I just put faith in me. I invest in me because I know I'll be able to do what it is that needs to happen. I'm not going to put money in the stock market when it's crazy, but I will invest in my ideas and in my creativity, and I'll go forward and I'll feel comfortable
who
with that.
taught you that?
I think.
Do you have good parents?
Yeah, but my dad was very inspiring in terms of setting goals.
Right.
He was a very earthly, goal-driven person. But I think there's some other spiritual thing that taught me that stuff. You know,
Right.
he gave me the tools and you got to be responsible for your actions, do what you say you're going to do, set short-term goals, mid-term goals, life goals, do it all, plan it out, you know, all
That's
these
great.
things, which was a killer
Sound
structure.
like you had a good father.
He was amazing. He
Fuck,
was
dude.
absolutely amazing.
Congratulations.
I miss him.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is prayer, like you talked about divine stuff, is prayer a part of your life, or do you have any kind of like belief in that regard?
I feel like meditation is, which I'm
Use
not
Headspace,
is
the app,
do what?
the meditation app, Headspace. I don't know. Anyway,
No, I
keep
have
going, sorry.
I have one that's autogenic training, which is something that the Germans came up with. It's about
Autogenic
60, 70
training.
years ago. Yeah, and that's something that is very much like a meditation app.
Autogenic training.
Autogenic training, yeah. And that's pretty cool. And it gets you, if you get into a space where you're practicing it, you literally feel like your body weighs 1,000 pounds and you're into the Earth's gravity, like you can't move.
If
And
I
so you're,
YouTube search autogenic training, it'll
yeah,
come
if you go
up.
to the Apple App Store,
App
you'll
Store?
find autogenic training.
Okay,
And it's
well,
a
after this, I want you remind me to look
Okay.
that up because
Yeah, it's cool. And then I think in that space, whenever, and I'm not being very good to myself because I'm not going there very often lately, but it's really amazing things happen. And I think that's when you're connecting to source. And that's where so much of the stuff comes from. So,
Yeah.
but I do, prayer is a different thing. I mean, I went off on a journey in the desert, which is a huge aspect of where this album came from. You know,
Right.
I took off because I was burned out, fried, and I went out to Sedona, Arizona, and hiked for a month and spent days in the desert
On
by
your own?
myself. Yeah, by myself. Just
That's wild,
tent
dude.
under the stars, building a fire, sitting there, contemplating, playing a Native American flute, fucking around, thinking, walking, enjoying nature and the earth. And in that space, all kinds of things came in.
did
And I think
psychedelics have anything to do with it?
No.
No?
No, I don't
Just
need
all
just
natural.
out there. Yeah, all natural. I mean, I've thought about that, believe
Yeah.
me. But and you know, we as a band have talked about doing that together. Iced Earth has, but we haven't yet. But I mean, there's some. If we can get out of the fucking rat race,
Yeah.
and get our heads connected to source, then that's where you can really tap into the true
Dude.
power of humanity, and that's what we all are missing.
Do you
know?
listen to Abraham Hicks?
I never heard of him.
Oh my God, you should check that out too. Like, cause it's a she, but she channels in a whole group of people, and they call it Abraham Hicks or whatever. And it's like, yeah. Anyway, it's all about. But the way you're speaking, she talks about source and all that stuff, tapping into source. It's just reminiscent of that same energy. So you went and camped out on your own for like a month?
Yeah, well, about every 2 to 3 days, I would go back and get supplied and cleaned up because
Okay.
I'm climbing some serious heights, and I only could handle so much weight to be able to do everything that I wanted to do and to carry supplies. You know what I mean? I didn't take a gun out, so I wasn't hunting, and I was taking enough food with me to last for
A few days.
Yeah, 3 days max. Is
What
I was out.
motivated that? Is
Being
that something you've done before? Or
No,
is
it
this
was
a
just
brand new thing.
Felt like I needed to do it, like I had to.
I want to do this.
You should do it.
Yeah.
I should recommend it for everybody.
Yeah.
You will, all of the bullshit with the phones and the distractions and all the garbage just goes away, and you just get into a space that's very, very comfortable. I had a hard time coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, I did. I was very
Into
complete
it.
and whole, and coming back to the rat race was just horrifying to me. You know,
Right.
it was weird. So it took a little bit of an adjustment. But a week later, I was with my brother in Germany, and we're planning, and it was like everything's going to be okay. But it was really like almost a culture shock having to think to come back to the world in that way when I was so much peace.
At this time, I moved to Mexico, and I was there. I got an apartment. I was like, I'm out of the rat race. And then when I came back, Ehud was like, let's start this podcast. And I was like, fuck. I'm back in the rat race.
It happens, man.
What about you? What do you have any kind of practice in the spiritual realm? Or
Yeah, I
anything
did
like that?
the Maharishi meditation back in the
TM.
days. Yeah, TM.
Yeah.
And it was okay, but I gave it up after a while.
Yeah.
It really didn't bring me anywhere. So
Right.
my journey is the quest for the source, which I know is within.
Yeah.
And I'm always amazed when it expresses itself, and that happens with songwriting, for example.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. But going back
true.
to the question, I do prayers. However, I relate to it when something comes to a point, and I was advised to do so. Someone mentioned to us, how long you need to speak to that universal force, and I do that from time to time.
Yeah. Me too, man. I practice yoga just about every day.
Killer.
And do a run. I did a little run today, and then a yoga before this, even though we're meeting pretty early.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do a yoga after that. I have to I have to drive myself towards the light.
Yeah.
Or else the dark.
You
will
need
just-
to. Yeah, exactly. We will be devoured, consumed by it. It's so easy. I also gave up to pay attention to everything what is going on, in this world, because you cannot change it. And with regard to that, I'm more and more coming to the conclusion that, doing good things in your nearer environment is the best thing you can do. Otherwise, you just get lost, and it's, a wishful thinking, by, changing anything. But if you really want to change something, do it at home. Do it at your environment, in your neighborhood, and pick it up from there. And this is what I'm working on, and it's, going quite well.
Yeah. Well, you're inspiring a lot of people, so that's also huge.
This helps, yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I look back to the beginning, I haven't even thought about that. It was all about the music. It was just, doing what we wanted to do. And then after like 3 or 4 albums, you realize that you were a lot. You meant a lot to people,
Yeah, you don't really know it.
And
you don't
then-
notice because
Right.
it comes later. It's
when
a
you
trip.
just hear the stories, what happened to the people, like, they were facing a severe disease or something, and we helped them getting through it. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe they would have
That's
survived.
the pipes, John. It's
That's
once an hour for 3 minutes.
Oh,
and
my
it goes
goodness.
his way.
It does that.
New York City pipes.
Maybe it's just coincidence, and they would have survived anyway.
Right.
But they related to the music, and they said it gave power to them. And therefore, I also believe that this had an impact on their recovering. And it was, sometimes really serious things where, I know a lot of people died from.
Yeah. Yeah, we had this artist on the podcast named Agnes Obel, and she said that she had a theory that music came from the sea, like when we used to be in the sea or something, and it's like the language of the sea. I don't know why I just thought of it. What do you guys think of that? Do you
Well, I mean,
believe
it's
that
the
at all?
sounding of the whales. I mean, it's
Yeah.
probably the connection to that. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
very
I don't know. It's all frequencies. Every single thing.
Vibration.
It's all vibrations. Every single thing is made up of energy. This mic stand, every single thing has energy. It has power. It's just, you wouldn't think of that because maybe it's not an animated object, but there still is. If you have I have the totem
I know
of
your
the raven
necklaces
here.
are rad, dude.
And this is a raven, So that it's a piece of silver with the intention of a raven carved into it.
Yeah.
But that means to me that the energy of the raven's always with me. So I put power in that and believe that my spirit animal, the raven, is here. It's with me. Because I believe that, it's true. And there is something from it, and that's the power of humanity.
Basically,
the power of
that's
the human
Christian
spirit.
belief.
Yeah.
That's a good thing about Christian belief. It's not if it really happened or not. It's more like we want it to be true, and that makes it the truth.
Yeah.
And it gives it energy. It has energy.
Yeah. How'd you discover the raven as your spirit animal?
Well, that's a long story, but it came with the on the Incorruptible, the Iced Earth Incorruptible album writing cycle.
Yeah.
I was going at a super early doctor appointment one morning, and I'd been doing lots of long writing sessions. So I get up, and it's like 5:30 in the morning, head to the north side of Indianapolis, get just this test done, and I go back, and I figured I'd probably crash, but I had tons of energy, so I go in and I start a session, and for whatever reason I called it Raven Wing, and that's what I named the file, and I just start playing, and I go into like a time warp, and 8 hours later, I've got 7 minutes of music laid out, all the parts, all of it, keyboards, drums, lead guitars, rhythm guitars, bass, everything. And I had no idea how much. I didn't even get up to piss. I didn't even look at the clock on my computer monitor. I just went into a zone. So I'm like, man, this is a really cool piece of music. Whatever. I had realized I missed an appointment with the album cover artist to go through a consultation of where the cover was going to go. So I called him. I'm like, man, I'm sorry. He's like, dude, you never miss appointments. It's okay. But I got into this zone. And a few days later, I was in a Reiki session with this. And she at that point said, you have a giant raven around you. And that you need to research what that means. That's your spirit guide. You need to look into it. And I was like, Raven Wing. She just said she didn't have a clue, even who I was at that point. And then she says that to me. So then I look, and I didn't, before that, I didn't know where I was going to go lyrically. But then once I studied the energy of the raven, I'm like, okay, that's where this song, obviously this is meant to be. There's a reason for this. It's the biggest song on the last Iced Earth record.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What's the energy of the raven?
Well, it's a transformative time. It's a time of magic. It's a messenger from spirit worlds into the now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things. You can look it up.
Edgar Allan Poe has the whole thing about the raven. Did you ever read that?
Yeah, many, many years ago. Yeah. But it's definitely not a dark thing. It's a really amazing thing. You can really read about it. It goes into the back to the Vikings, to the Native Americans. They have their lore with the ravens and the magic of that bird. And dude, when I was out on my hike, they were with me the whole time.
That's amazing.
Big fucking massive ravens. I would be in a canyon or out in the middle somewhere in there, and just with me. It was.
You're
a
like
trip.
a heavy metal shaman.
Yeah, maybe, but it's trippy.
Have you
journey.
ever read Dr. Joe Dispenza? You know him? He wrote this book called "You Are the Placebo."
Okay.
And Becoming Supernatural. And it's a lot about manifesting your own reality, and a lot of the kind of what you're saying reminds me of it. I think you should check that out. Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's interesting.
Well, look, man, I believe that we all are. I don't like people that I hate to see people that are of the victim mentality.
Yeah.
Because
it
it's
does
a
you
choice.
no good.
No, it's bullshit. It's you're making an excuse why your life is the way it is when you have all of the power to change it. It's like that. It's a decision. It's a choice.
It is.
And it's about manifesting in your mind what you want things to be, and you can do it.
It's hard. I agree 100% with what you're saying. When you get into a negative tailspin, it seems really difficult to elevate yourself to the perspective that you just laid out.
That's right. It is.
But
and I've been there myself.
Me too.
I know
And it goes back and forth. And when you're in the perspective you just laid out, it seems like the easiest and most obvious fucking thing. It's obvious.
Yeah.
But but it's weird because you can be in that obvious space and then you can dip back down into like under the melees of life or whatever, and it's like, how did I got to get back up to that, and then certain ways to get yourself back up to that, but it's it's a weird divide. I think there's a prayer called Ho'oponopono. Have you heard of that? I love you. I'm sorry. Please
very
forgive
Native
me.
American sounding.
Thank you. It's Hawaiian.
Is it? Okay.
And it's like it's a mantra about what you're saying, like taking complete and total responsibility for everything in your field of consciousness. So if you're endured some trauma or something from somebody, and but it's in your field of consciousness, or there's a problem, you just apply this prayer, and it's like taking in full responsibility. That's the idea. It's like not acknowledging or not acknowledging the fact that maybe you've been victimized in some kind of way, but the fact is, if you remain in that victim, mentality, you're going to keep manifesting more victimization.
Right.
So you have to elevate yourself out of that.
You have to accept it and take the lesson out of it.
Yeah.
And almost be thankful for it, because it is part of the growth process.
It is, definitely. What about you? What about your spirit animal? Do you have one?
Then it is a hare. I'm closely related to crows as well. That was the funny thing. You know, I dealt a lot with crows, and they play a vital role in my life. But I feel more related to hares. That would be my
hare.
The big rabbits.
The big rabbit.
Yeah.
But to interrupt for a second, his hometown is called Crayfeld.
Yeah, which
Crowfield.
means Crowfield. Yeah.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
That is funny.
Yeah. And I was also digging into the Raven stuff, like, that's also part of Islamic religion. They cover the deal with God, after Cain's deed. So there was a relation to children of Cain. But I was just thinking about what you were saying, which basically is true. But take yourself into the position of a third world person. I mean, can you imagine how difficult it is?
And you're right. Then you could break it down into that, and it becomes a little bit more hard to get your head around.
But if you
how's it their responsibility? I agree.
Especially if you relate, history to it. They have a history of I don't know how many centuries.
I agree. It's not black and white.
No, but think about how many of those third world countries that are probably much closer to source than our brutal system of what Christianity, of Catholicism.
That's true too.
Of the colonizing and the brutal things that we've done in the name of spreading empire and power have dampened their source.
Yeah, but it's so destroyed. I mean, it's for them. It's probably even harder to find that source back than it is for us.
I don't know.
And then working on it, just doing the prayer. I mean, they don't even have the time to do the prayer.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have the answer to it.
Neither do I. I was just thinking about that. Because I feel the same. That if you want to accomplish a goal, you have to go for it. And you have to come in terms with yourself. And we have a song on the album called "Wolves in Winter," which is about the nature of man. Accept the beast within you to become the perfect human being. There's no other chance.
That's like Jungian. They're assimilating yourself with your shadow type stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Accept the beast within you to what? Become the perfect human being.
Yeah.
And that's another spirit animal for me, is the wolf. That's why I wrote the lyrics for that song.
That's amazing.
It's another one that came through later, was the wolf and the raven, and it's a thing for me.
The wolf and the raven. That's cool. And why the hare?
I feel attracted by them. They are smart. I really like the way they are very productive. Mm-hmm. There's no other species which breeds so much, which means they are endangered, of course. They have a lot of enemies. But if you ever had a dog, hunting a hare and seeing how that hare fools the dog, I feel a lot of sympathy for that, because they are so smart.
That's interesting. I've never even thought about hares before.
I love them. I really love them. I like to discover them and really to spend time on them. And I lose myself on it.
That's
especially the other animal that would be a dog, even though that's man-made, that's still a great animal, you know, and I enjoy them and I enjoy their loyalty. But especially, you know, when they let loose and try to hunt a hare, you just see how difficult it is. And the hare is one of the rare animals I killed so far. I don't like to kill animals. I had to, because one of the dogs I had was still faster than the hare. The hare was not fast enough, so, you know, the dog got it, and, you know, I had to.
It was merciful.
Yeah, I had to come to a solution there.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Man, so you have some dogs?
Not anymore. No,
Not
it's
anymore.
not in this life. That's done.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I
Why?
love dogs.
Because of the last dog I have had, because that was a very intense relationship.
Connection. Yeah.
And, you know, I cannot renew it. It's done.
Yeah. What about you?
I have a dog, and I love dogs. So it's a pit bull Presa Canario. She's about a year and 3 months old.
Did she
Awesome.
come with you when you went on your camping trip?
No.
No.
It's actually my girlfriend's dog, but she's kind of my dog. She's with me
You
all the time when
adopted-
I'm
you
around.
adopted
Yeah,
her.
she loves her boy. I'm her boy.
So are you guys thinking about, like, after the touring cycle, like gearing the Demons and Wizards project back up sooner than the 15-year hiatus before this
Yeah.
time?
There's a very good chance, you know.
Yeah.
However, we are going to maintain that, you know.
Yeah.
There's no need to keep silence for another 15 years. And that would deliver us into a quite delicate situation, because then we're almost, you know, we're at least scratching the 70s then. So
Yeah, I mean,
What,
it's
in
not.
15 years, you
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, we can't do that. I mean, it's not, and you know, I mean, I'm not at this point, you know, I don't want to be going out on ridiculously long world tours with Iced Earth either. I mean, we were on
Yeah.
a tear for a long time. We've done a lot of amazing stuff, but I got all these things that I want to do in my life that are all revolved around creative art, you know,
Right.
in whatever form, and whether it be actual artwork, writing, songwriting, productions, whatever. And if I stay on the proverbial hamster wheel of album tour, I'm not going to get to these other cool things that I want to do.
Right.
And I think we've reached a point in our careers. Iced Earth is a legacy band, and we can basically design our future however we want. You know,
Yeah.
we don't have to do anything that they say you have to do. That's just, you know what I
Right.
mean? Any of the norm. Oh, you got to do this, you got to do that. No,
There is no
fuck you.
they
We don't.
anymore.
No, we don't have to do
It's
that.
like, you know, how do you guys keep yourselves together on the road? Do you run, jog when you get to the next place or anything like that?
I honestly more or less reserve my whole day for the performance. So I'm really doing physical exercises vocally
Yeah.
throughout the whole day. This is what I'm doing, sitting and then doing my breathing stuff and,
Uh-huh.
you know, coming up with the first keys to sing
Right.
and get everything in shape.
Yeah, he warms up all day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it works well.
That's wild.
Yeah. I do it soft, you know. It's not like I'm going for the intense stuff. I'm just, you
Yeah,
know,
like-
warming up everything. So the register's there, the ranges are back.
What are some of the things you do?
Humming a lot, you know. Yeah, exactly. And then go through the keys and do a lot of falsetto stuff first to really the soft falsetto stuff, right? Yeah. And then do that for the whole day. And once they are somehow, do you say revive? Yeah. When they are revived, then I know, okay, now I can go to the regular registers and then get back my clean voice, and then I go to the harsh stuff.
So you work on it.
I work on it, yes.
What about you?
I'm basically failing myself right now in terms of taking care of my body on the road. You know, I'm pretty beat up at the moment. I got a torn rotator cuff in my right shoulder, and I've got some low back issues. So my ideal world with being on the road would be to have my Wing Chun master with me, and then I would train every day, all the time.
Wing Chun.
Wing Chun's what I'm into, yeah.
That's
And
a form of a martial art?
it's
or
kung fu, yeah.
Kung
It's
fu?
yeah, it's like and that also was.
Isn't that what
Tai
Robert
Chi.
Downey Jr.'s into too?
It
Wing
is.
Chun,
And he has his guy with him all the time.
Right.
It's what it was.
It's like that wood dummy thing.
That's
that you-
right. That's
yeah.
one of the
Oh, okay.
training methods.
That's
that we
cool.
use, a wood dummy, and that's what Bruce Lee started off as,
Right.
a Wing Chun guy, and then he went into all of the he studied what he felt was the best aspect of every martial art, and then he created Jeet Kune Do, which was his own martial art. And for me, it's just the most complete grounding, good for spirit, mind, body, all of it. And it's just a problem to practice Wing Chun without a partner is really difficult, because it's all about sensitivity training, and it's a hands-on, crossing hands and doing stuff, and it's difficult to do on your own. You can do some things, but I would love to have that element in my life when I'm on tour, because it would make things a lot better in just every way. But it's also, it's a budgetary issue. Then bodies on the bus, and it's usually when you're touring in the United States, for example, you get a bus with 12 bunks. And we've got band and crew on there, and there's no room for anybody else. And that, you know what I mean? Then it becomes another issue of all of these other expenses down the line, and it's kind of a pain in the ass.
How'd you get into that?
I got into that after my second cervical spine fusion. I had always been interested, but it's very hard to find somebody that's actually schooled in real Wing Chun. And it just so happens that in this little town, Columbus, Indiana, south of where I live, there's a Wing Chun master there that's right in the lineage of Yip Man, who was the one who trained Bruce Lee. Okay. And that's it's awesome. He's a killer practitioner, really, really great. All the guys that are into that are engineering minds. It's very mathematical, a lot of feeling as well. But they have to study the math and use the engineering. I think that's why they're so attracted to it, because that's how you can get a very small person that's not very powerful just whip the fuck out of you, because they know how to use their body, and they know the angles, and they know the math, and that's the trippy thing that's very, very cool about it.
They know how to use leverage and stuff like that.
Absolutely, yeah, and to really control all the aspects and movements of the body, so that they can use the entire muscle group as one beneficial movement to turn it on and off that fast, so that some big giant dude that maybe has super strong arms but can't use the body. My master is not a big guy. He's a strong guy and a very fit guy. He's not a big guy, and I've seen him move some really big, strong dudes like across the fucking room. It's very impressive.
Interesting.
It's a trip. Oh yeah. It's cool, but I love it. For me, it's all just about the peace thing. You know what I mean? So it helps a lot. I've always been into martial arts and stuff, but on the tour, on the road, that would be the best thing, for me. Because otherwise, I've done yoga in the past on the road, which is good to stay limber and to still stay strong. But sometimes it's just about whether you're in that mode of being disciplined enough to do it. And I have been in those moments where I'm super disciplined, and then where I'm failing myself, Yeah. And lately, that's what's been happening.
But you can flip it back.
For sure.
That's what happens.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Did you see the Connor fight?
No, I didn't. I actually saw Paul Stanley commented that he kicked ass, though.
Oh, Paul Stanley?
Yeah. Paul Stanley
from
Kiss.
He killed it. Yeah, 44 seconds.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, it was brutal.
Wow. Killer.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up. I haven't seen it yet.
Hansi, I was curious, just one before we start wrapping up. Since you're from Germany, and a lot of German metal bands do sing in German, I guess. What steered you? There are German bands, who sing. What steered you towards English from the beginning?
When I listened to metal, it was all English. Then there were some French bands speaking in French, and I like that as well.
Did you ever hear Noir Désir from France?
No.
Oh, anyway, they're great French
Sortilège and Trust and all these bands of the early 80s.
Oh, okay.
Archbomb was one of them. And I like that, but the French language is more fluent than German. German is still a very harsh language.
Yeah.
Not as harsh as it sometimes appears, but it's harsh. And therefore, it was not a question for me at all. It was English I like to listen to, and, it was even easier to transfer the first lyrical ideas into English language, because in the German language, it would have sounded more cheesy, and therefore that was not an option. The only band which really established that musically is Rammstein, and they are playing with very old German qualities. They are not right wing, not at all, but it's that Third Reich emphasis in the voice, how he approaches it, which makes it so special and, so attractive, especially for American people and people who not understand the German language, but the lyrics are top-notch. I mean, they have really top-notch lyrics. And all the other German bands singing in German, they never attracted me. There are some medieval metal rock bands which do a decent job, and they do good in lyrics as well. But at the point they came in, it was too late for me because we were a German band singing in English, and I felt very comfortable with it. When I did my vocal lessons, my classical teacher, she did all that stuff, how to physically move my, what is it called here? Is it
Jaw?
The jaw, right. And she just figured when doing her exercises, I was more innocent in doing the German stuff than the English stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So all my training is in German. So, because
But
my focus is always on the words, and therefore there is a little more of pressure, whatever I'm doing there. But with the German words, just for the preparation, it's far easier for me, and I'm doing a far more relaxed job then. I did sing in German once there's a quite successful German band called In Extremo, and they invited me on one of their albums to sing in German, and I felt it kind of odd. It sounds okay. It doesn't sound bad, but it is not what I'm used to.
I never heard that, man.
I will play to you.
That's
Cool.
funny.
The thing is that with that, Rammstein probably are a phenomenon where they went totally international, still singing in German. Has anybody else done that?
I mean, the German bands which made it here is Kraftwerk, maybe. It's old 70s, basically from my hometown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Rammstein played the Garden not too long ago.
No, they're huge,
Yeah.
and that's what I mean. They sing in their native tongue, and they're successful everywhere, not just Germany, Austria, and Switzerland.
Yeah, but
That's true.
Kraftwerk, for example, which is one of the biggest bands ever and most innovative bands in Germany, when they released the album here, as far as I remember, they were in English, because I bought one.
Okay.
Kraftwerk, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Nena had a song which was quite successful here, and she also did a English
99 Luftballons.
Right, and
Yeah.
there's
Right,
also an
yeah.
English version to that. And maybe Falco, that's an Austrian guy.
Falco,
yeah. He was very innovative, and he might have had a little bit of, I think his songs went number one here as well, and they might have been in German, but
Okay.
this is pretty much it.
Yeah. That's about it, I think.
Yeah.
Cool. And so
Hey.
the album is coming out February 2020 next month.
February
21st, isn't
Is
it?
there a 21st?
21st, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you did this sort of like in a reverse order where you toured last summer and now you're putting an album that's not followed by a tour. Is that weird for you?
It's a little different, but it was because of the offer to do Wacken that we
Pushed
couldn't.
everything forward.
That's right. Yeah, we had to take that opportunity. It was a huge honor to do it. It was their 30th anniversary for the festival, and Hansi and I were just talking about, let's do another album, and we'll figure out touring later. But then when we got that offer, we're like, okay, this is getting real, and it changes our plan a little bit. But because of the allotted time that we carved out of our schedules, we can't really go. We can't do it halfway. That's the problem. I mean, we've set the standard, we set the bar for Demons and Wizards and what we want to achieve with it theatrically from a live show. In order to do a real cycle where we're going to go out and put on a proper show, that requires quite an investment in a production and of time, energy, finance, everything to make it as killer as we want it to be. And you can't just do that and go to all that effort and just go, okay, we'll go do a few festivals this summer. We have to really do it. If we're going to do it, we have to do it and maximize the effect across the board. So we have to pause it. Plus, we have the commitment to our other bands that we have
It
to
feels odd still.
Yeah,
It does feel odd.
It's a sort
just
of
for
struggle.
the fans, like they get all this new material and they're hungry, and then what?
Exactly. On the other hand, the benefit for us is we could bring back the name in big terms. So, everyone in Europe and in the US nowadays is aware. Demons and Wizards are back, and they're expecting the album, and they somehow know what to expect, not only because of the history of the bands, but also because, we made it very obvious to them.
Do you guys like being in New York City?
I do.
It is fun.
I'm not-
yeah.
How long are you here for?
It's till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Till
Believe it or
tomorrow,
not, I've come here for vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it. It's the best city.
I think, dude, you know, I'm not a big, I'm a pretty much a country boy. You know,
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm from Indiana, and I can't stand LA,
Right.
but I like New York.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to live here, but I
Right.
do like to come here and to visit here, and the food's amazing, and it's a very alive city, and it's
Yeah.
easy to get around, and there's a lot of things that are really cool about it. But honestly, for me, a small town, living in the middle of nowhere, that's kind of where my
Where
heart
your
really
heart's
lies.
at,
Yeah.
Where are you guys going after this?
I'm going back to Indiana.
Back home.
He's going to
so
Germany.
this is it.
so.
This is it. I have a show on Sunday with Blind Guardian
Oh, okay. Cool.
Where?
Where's that?
in my hometown.
Oh, okay.
It's a donation concert, which was not planned, but there was an incident in Germany in my hometown where a part of the zoo got burned down, and that was where all the monkeys were.
Oh,
and
wow.
so the city and the people are very supportive to the zoo. And some people came up with the idea of doing this concert, and so we said, even though we're not in the condition of playing shows, we do.
That's nice.
Yeah,
That's awesome. For the monkeys.
for the monkeys. Yeah.
Blind Guardian. Thanks for doing
Cool,
this,
yeah.
you guys.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
Likewise.
It's a cool
Good
discussion.
Great
different,
fun.
You know, we
Yeah.
got into all kinds of different stuff that,
Yeah.
rather than, so what were you thinking about when you wrote the songs? And
Yeah.
all the generic shit that we get asked. We get into this cool spiritual discussion. It was awesome.
Yeah, I
Cool,
like
man.
to. Yeah, you guys are really cool. I really appreciate it.
So are you, man.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Very, very
All
cool
right.
to talk to you.
Much love.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Right on.
Cheers.
Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come to where I'm from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated.